Ever notice how some people just walk into a room and you instantly, you just respect them?
Yeah.
It's not about like a title
Right.
or even how loud they are. It's something else.
Mm-hmm.
What if I told you there's this whole philosophy
Okay.
about cultivating that kind of presence?
Interesting.
Today, we're going to deep dive into the Stoic approach to respect
Okay.
and how to earn it, both from others and from yourself.
So when we talk about Stoicism, one of the things that's super interesting is this focus on self-mastery.
Right?
So instead of like chasing validation from outside sources,
Yeah.
the Stoics are all about what you can control.
Okay.
Your own thoughts, your actions.
So we've got 6 Stoic lessons we want to unpack today.
Okay.
All about kind of targeting these little habits we all have that might be holding us back from really, truly commanding respect.
Yeah.
We're talking about things like seeking validation from others,
Right.
letting our emotions run the show, and even, avoiding those tough conversations.
Yeah, those difficult conversations. Yeah.
So the first lesson really gets at this very human thing we all do, which is like we want other people to approve of us.
Yeah. The need for approval.
We want validation.
Right.
But the Stoics would argue that looking for that outside yourself makes you dependent.
Well, yeah, because you're basically building your self-worth on something that you can't control.
Right.
Right. I mean, other people's opinions, they're going to shift. They're going to change.
It's like building a house on sand.
Yeah, exactly. It's really unstable.
And the source material actually shares a story about this, about the author's own experience with this need for approval.
Right. So, they talk about how they were always seeking praise, always chasing that validation.
Right.
And it was never enough.
Yeah.
It's like you get that hit and then you need the next one and the next one.
Right. You always need more.
Exactly. You're always chasing that next hit, and it's kind of an empty pursuit in the end.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
So the Stoics offer this different path. It's about, so instead of outward, you go inward.
Exactly. It's about grounding your self-worth in your values.
Okay.
Your principles.
Okay, so things that don't change.
Right. Exactly. The things that you can rely on.
So it's not, do they like me? It's, do I like me?
Right.
Am I living in accordance with what I value?
Yes, it's about that alignment.
It makes me think of that Epictetus quote. It's not what happens to you, but how you react that matters.
Absolutely. And, the same principle applies to respect, right?
Right.
So other people's perceptions of you, ultimately, it's their business.
Yeah.
Your focus should be on how you act.
Yeah.
And staying true to your values.
So their opinions are theirs. I'm going to do my thing.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where that inner strength comes from, that unshakable sense of self. And that's what I think really commands respect from others.
Right. So it's not about trying to please everyone. It's about being true to yourself.
Exactly.
And that leads perfectly into lesson number 2.
Okay.
Mastering your emotions.
Now, this doesn't mean like becoming a robot.
Right.
Right. The Stoics weren't about suppressing emotions altogether.
Right. They understood we're human, we feel things.
Exactly. It's human to feel. But they also recognize that if we let our emotions run wild, it can lead to, decisions that we regret later on.
Right. You don't want to be ruled by your emotions.
Exactly.
You want to be in control.
It's about being in the driver's seat.
Okay.
So the Stoics encourage us to, first of all, just observe them.
Okay.
Understand what you're feeling, why you're feeling it.
So there's that pause.
Yes. There's that space between the stimulus and your reaction. And in that space, you can choose how you respond.
So it's that response versus reaction.
Exactly. Responding with logic and reason, even when things are tough, even when you're triggered.
So you're the master of your emotions.
Yes. Master, not slave.
I like that.
It's a powerful concept.
And in the source material, they actually share an anecdote.
Right. The author talks about their own struggles with being reactive,
Right.
Getting flustered easily, letting those emotions kind of take over.
Which I imagine just makes everything worse.
It often does.
Yeah.
In their case, they talked about how it made them appear unpredictable, even untrustworthy to others because they were so reactive.
So how do they turn that around?
Well, they started practicing the Stoic principles, paying attention to those triggers, practicing techniques for calming the mind, responding thoughtfully instead of just reacting impulsively.
So creating that space.
Exactly. Creating that space.
Between the feeling and the action.
And that, I think, is really where that that power lies, right?
Yeah, right. So you can think things through.
Exactly. You have that moment to make a conscious choice.
Okay.
And that ability to stay calm and collected under pressure. That's what earns respect, I think.
It sounds like a superpower these days.
It is, especially in our, fast-paced, constantly connected world.
Right.
But the Stoics remind us that we all have that power within us.
Okay.
It's about cultivating it.
Okay, so we've talked about letting go of that need for external validation, mastering those emotions.
Right.
What's our next Stoic lesson?
Well, this one might surprise you a little bit.
Okay.
It's about facing those difficult conversations head on.
So to earn respect, we should go looking for conflict.
No. It's not about, actively seeking out arguments, but it's about having that courage, to engage in those conversations that might be uncomfortable, especially when those conversations are actually necessary for growth and for resolution.
Because avoiding them just makes things worse, right?
Yeah, exactly. Avoiding those conversations, it can really cause more harm in the long run.
Right, because think about it.
Yeah.
Who do you respect more?
Yeah.
Someone who just avoids all conflict, or someone who's willing to step up, even when it's hard, and say what needs to be said.
Right. And it's not just about earning respect from others.
Okay.
It's also about respecting yourself and honoring your own needs, your own boundaries.
So avoiding it is almost like you're betraying yourself.
You could say that, yeah.
Yeah.
You're silencing your own voice.
Right.
You're allowing your needs to be overlooked.
Which down the line leads to resentment.
It can lead to all sorts of negative feelings.
Right.
The Stoics, they believed that true strength comes from facing those challenges directly.
Even when it's hard.
Even when it's uncomfortable.
Okay.
There's that great Marcus Aurelius quote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way."
So the thing you're trying to avoid, that conversation, is actually the key.
It's often the key to moving forward, yeah. It's by leaning into that discomfort that we discover our strength, our resilience.
So it's not an obstacle, it's like an opportunity.
Exactly. It's a stepping stone.
Wow.
And in those moments of, kind of vulnerability and honesty, that's where true respect is often forged.
Interesting. Okay, so next lesson.
All right.
Number 4. Stop making excuses.
Yeah. This one's pretty straightforward.
Right. We all know we shouldn't make excuses.
We know it, but do we do it?
Right.
That's the question.
So, I guess the Stoics saw this as pretty key.
Oh, absolutely.
To self-respect.
Yeah, they saw this as a fundamental principle in building self-respect.
Why? Why is that?
Well, because when you make excuses, you're essentially shifting the blame away from yourself.
Right.
Right. You're not taking responsibility for your actions.
And you're giving away your power, in a way.
Exactly. You're giving away your power. You're undermining your own credibility.
Think about it. Who do you have more respect for? The person who's always got an excuse, or the person who owns up?
Yeah, it's always the person who takes responsibility.
Right.
Right, because that shows integrity.
Right.
And that's what inspires trust and ultimately respect.
Right. In the source material, there's actually a pretty relatable story in there.
Yeah, the author admits to being, a champion excuse maker.
Right.
Back in the day. Always finding someone or something else to blame when things didn't go their way.
I think we've all been there.
We've all been there.
At some point.
It's a human tendency.
Right.
But the Stoics remind us that we always have a choice.
Okay.
In how we respond. To those setbacks, to those challenges.
So you can either dwell in the excuses, or you can be like, okay, what can I learn from this?
Exactly.
What was my part in this?
It's about owning your actions.
Right.
Learning from the experience.
So I guess it's that acknowledgement that we have power, even when things go wrong.
We always have a choice.
It's not just fate.
Exactly. And that choice, that willingness to take responsibility, is ultimately what earns respect.
Okay. What's our next Stoic lesson?
This one is...
to command more respect.
Yeah, well, this one's about stopping the search for external validation.
Wait, didn't we already talk about that?
We did, but we're going to go a little bit deeper.
Okay.
All right.
Right.
Because this one's so important.
Okay.
And it's so, I think, ingrained in our culture.
Right.
This need to seek approval from others.
Okay, so round 2 on the validation trap.
Round 2. Yeah.
Let's dive back in.
So we talked about how seeking that validation outside of yourself can really kind of chip away at your self-respect. It's almost like you're handing over your power to other people.
Yeah, and we touched on how that shows up, like in that constant need for approval and praise.
Yeah.
But how else does that kind of manifest?
It can be subtle, right? Like constantly comparing yourself to others, trying to fit in with the crowd, making decisions based on what you think other people will be impressed by.
So it's like you're living for this audience that doesn't really exist.
It's like an imaginary audience in your head.
Yeah.
And the source material, actually, there's another great anecdote about this.
Okay.
Where the author talks about this time when they were so obsessed with what other people thought. They were curating their life for social media.
Trying to project this perfect image.
Exactly, trying to create this perfect persona.
Exhausting.
It is. It's exhausting.
Yeah.
And they talk about how the more they tried to gain approval, the more disconnected they actually felt from themselves. Because they were so focused on that external validation that they lost sight of their own values.
So they're living someone else's life.
Yeah.
Not their own.
And the saddest part is people could sense it.
Yeah.
They could sense that lack of authenticity. It actually diminished their respect for the speaker.
So it backfires.
It does. It backfires.
The more you try to be what you think they want, the less they respect you.
Because it's not genuine.
Yeah.
It's not real.
Yeah.
And people can see through that.
So how do we break free?
Well, the Stoics, they have some great tools for this.
Okay.
One of the most effective is that, focus on what you can control. You can't control what other people think, how they judge you.
Nope.
But you can control your actions. You can control your thoughts, your responses.
So instead of trying to manipulate, I'm going to focus on being the best version of myself.
Exactly. Focus on being the kind of person that you can respect. Live in a way that aligns with your values, your principles.
Actions speak louder than words.
Exactly. Let your actions speak for themselves.
So it's almost like turning your attention inward.
Yes.
Instead of constantly looking to others.
It's a shift in focus. And when you make that shift, something amazing happens. You start to develop this inner peace, this confidence. And it radiates outward. People are drawn to that.
Interesting. So the less I need them, the more I have them.
It's a paradox, isn't it?
It is.
But it goes back to that idea that true respect is earned, not demanded. And it's earned through that authenticity, that integrity.
So what's our next Stoic lesson?
This one is about negativity.
Okay.
And criticism, how we respond.
Okay.
The Stoics, they were masters of emotional resilience. And they had this unique perspective on handling insults.
So lesson number 6 is stop reacting.
Stop reacting to every insult. Yeah. Because we have the power to choose how we respond. Even when someone is trying to provoke us, even when they're being, deliberately hurtful.
Which is tough.
It is tough.
Yeah.
But the Stoics would say when you react impulsively, you're just escalating the situation. You're giving that person power over you.
You're letting them control you.
Exactly. But when you choose not to react, when you maintain your composure, when you respond thoughtfully, you take back your power.
So I'm showing them their words don't affect me?
You're showing them that you're not going to be dragged down by their negativity. And that commands respect.
I like that. It reminds me of that Marcus Aurelius quote.
Oh, yeah.
You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength.
It's a powerful reminder, right?
Yeah.
We can't control what other people say or do, but we can always control our response.
It's that choice.
That choice.
When it's hard.
And that choice, that ability to respond with reason instead of just reacting impulsively, that's what sets us apart.
But that sounds really hard.
It is. It takes practice.
Especially these days, online, so much negativity.
There is. It's everywhere. But the Stoics, they give us a framework for approaching these situations. One of the key things is remembering other people's opinions, they're just opinions. They don't define you. They don't define your worth, your value.
It's like detaching from the judgment.
Detaching from those external judgments. And when you do that, when you stop taking things so personally, you become less reactive, more resilient.
So it's that power of choosing how much it affects me.
Exactly. You get to decide how much weight you give to those external messages.
Okay, so I'm not suppressing.
No.
It's acknowledging and then...
Yeah, it's recognizing those emotions, understanding where they're coming from,
right,
and then choosing a response.
Choosing my response.
That aligns with your values, your goal.
Yeah, so responding, not reacting.
Responding with wisdom, with integrity.
I like it.
Even when you're feeling hurt or angry.
This has been so insightful. I'm loving this. Like, we've covered those 6 lessons.
Right.
For getting that respect.
For cultivating that unshakable respect.
And from yourself and from others. But before we wrap up,
yeah,
there's this one more part of Stoicism.
Okay.
I'm really fascinated by.
I know what you're going to say.
This living in accordance with nature thing.
Ah, yes. A central tenet of Stoicism.
But what does that even mean?
It's often misunderstood.
Right. Does it mean I have to go live?
No. It's not about, living in a cave or rejecting modern society.
Okay.
It's about aligning yourself with the natural order of the universe.
Okay, but how? How do I do that?
It involves accepting the things you can't control.
Okay.
Focusing on what's within your power.
Right, like we were talking about.
Exactly. And recognizing our interconnectedness with all things.
Okay, I think I need an example.
Sure. So let's say you encounter a setback, a challenge. Instead of getting angry or frustrated, you can remind yourself, you know what, this is just part of life. There are going to be ups and downs.
It's the natural flow.
It's the ebb and flow.
Okay.
And it's your response to those fluctuations that matters.
So it's that acceptance.
Acceptance, equanimity in the face of those challenges. And another aspect is recognizing that interconnectedness.
Okay.
We're all part of this web of life.
Right.
Our actions have ripple effects.
So it's acting with compassion.
Compassion, understanding.
Knowing that we're all in this together.
We're all in this together. And that compassion, that sense of shared humanity, is a powerful foundation for building respect.
So I guess it's like we're part of something bigger.
Yes.
Than just our little...
It's about recognizing that.
Yeah.
You're part of something larger than yourself and acting in a way that honors that connection.
Okay, so to recap, 6 lessons.
6 key lessons for commanding respect.
Letting go of that need for validation from others. Mastering our emotions.
Yes.
Facing those difficult conversations head on.
Yes.
Owning our actions, no more excuses.
Taking responsibility.
Round 2 on that validation track.
Right. Rejecting it even deeper.
And responding thoughtfully, not reacting.
Exactly. Choosing your response.
And then this whole living in accordance with nature thing.
Aligning yourself with that natural order.
This is a lot.
It is a lot.
So where do we even start?
Well, that's a great question, and that's what we're going to be exploring in our next segment.
Okay.
Some practical strategies.
Okay, so stay tuned.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back to our deep dive into Stoicism and respect.
So we've been exploring how Stoicism can help us cultivate that inner strength.
Right, that kind of presence.
Yeah.
It just commands respect.
Exactly. And we've talked about those 6 key lessons for dismantling those habits that can diminish our respect.
Both from ourselves and others.
Things like seeking external validation.
Letting our emotions get the better of us.
Right.
Avoiding those tough conversations.
And we touched on that Stoic concept of living in accordance with nature.
Right, aligning ourselves with that natural order.
But now the question is, how do we actually put all this wisdom into action?
Right, because it's one thing to understand it intellectually. But how do we actually live it?
Yeah, how do we bridge that gap between theory and practice?
That's the challenge.
Well, luckily, Stoicism is full of practical tools and techniques.
Okay, give me some examples.
One of my favorites is negative visualization.
Okay, now that sounds a little intimidating.
Now, it sounds kind of gloomy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
But it's really not.
Okay.
It's about mentally preparing for setbacks, for challenges. The Stoics believed that by contemplating potential difficulties, we can actually reduce our anxiety and build resilience.
Or it's almost like rehearsing for those hard times.
Yes.
So they don't hit you so hard.
Exactly. It's like a mental fire drill.
Okay.
You're practicing, you're going through those scenarios in your mind so that when they happen in real life, you're more equipped to handle them.
Okay, so give me an example.
Sure. So let's say you're worried about losing your job.
Okay, relatable.
Right. So you would spend some time actually visualizing that happening. Thinking about, okay, what would my emotions be? What practical steps would I need to take?
Okay.
How would I talk to my family about this?
So you're not just freaking out.
Exactly. You're thinking it through, you're preparing yourself emotionally and practically.
I like that.
And that sense of preparedness, that ability to stay calm under pressure, that's what inspires respect.
Right, because people see that.
Yeah, they see that you can handle those tough situations.
They can rely on you.
And it also helps you appreciate what you have right now, because you're contemplating the potential loss.
So it's not about being pessimistic.
No, not at all.
It's about being realistic.
It's about having a balanced perspective.
Okay. What else? What else can we do?
Another great practice is journaling.
Ah, the Stoics loved their journals.
They did. They were big proponents of self-reflection.
Right, always looking inward.
They believed it was essential for growth, and journaling is a fantastic tool for that.
Okay, so how does that work?
So it allows you to process your experiences, identify patterns in your behavior, track your progress over time.
So I'm becoming more aware of, like, my thoughts?
Yes, becoming more aware of your inner world.
Okay.
Those thoughts and emotions that are driving your actions.
And then I can start to change them.
Exactly. It's about awareness and then action.
Okay, so what should I be journaling about?
You can journal about anything, really. Your experiences, your challenges, your successes, your gratitudes.
Right.
But one of the most valuable things you can do is to use journaling to process difficult emotions.
Okay, yeah, so I'm not keeping it all bottled up inside.
Exactly. Give those emotions an outlet.
And over time, you start to see those patterns.
Yes, and you might notice triggers that set you off or limiting beliefs that are holding you back.
And that's powerful, right?
It is. Because with that awareness comes the opportunity to change.
To actually do something about it.
To break free from those patterns.
Okay, so we've got negative visualization, we've got journaling. What else? What other advice would you give?
Well, find a community.
A Stoic community.
Yeah, find like-minded people.
Because it's hard to do this alone.
It is. It's so much easier when you have support, people who understand what you're going through.
Right, so they get it.
And there are tons of resources out there.
Okay.
Websites, forums, social media groups, even online courses.
So no matter where I am, I can find my people.
You can find your Stoic tribe.
And that makes all the difference.
It does. It's so motivating.
Okay, so this has been such a great deep dive.
It has, yeah.
We've explored these 6 lessons for cultivating that unshakable respect.
Right, both from others and from yourself.
We talked about living in accordance with nature.
Aligning yourself with that natural order.
And we got some practical tools.
Like negative visualization and journaling.
So if you enjoyed this deep dive,
yeah,
make sure you subscribe to Lice Codes for more insights and tips on self-improvement, personal growth.
Stoicism is a journey.
Right, it's not a destination.
It's about those small, consistent efforts.
To align our thoughts and actions.
And our values.
So start with one small step today.
Pick one principle that resonates with you.
Yeah.
And see how you can bring it into your life.
Because those little things...
massive change.
Until next time, keep seeking that wisdom. Keep practicing virtue.
And keep living a life that commands respect.
We'll see you in the next deep dive.